restart. All right, we are live. We are recording. And so, again, my name is Hone Tai. I've been a real estate investor for the last 9 years. I started in 2011 when I bought my first 6-unit apartment building. And usually people don't start off with a 6-unit apartment building, but when the numbers make sense and you do the deal on paper and you build your confidence, it's like, you know what? Why not do it? So my first deal was a 6-unit apartment building. I sold that 5 years later. It was a rental property, and it was right outside of Temple University, or Temple University Hospital, if you guys know where that is, in North Philly. And it was neat. I bought it for $40,000, believe it or not. But you're like, $40,000, how do you do that? If you think about 9 years ago, that was the year 2011. Think about when the market crash was of 2009, right? So you got 2008, 2009, where everything crashed. Things haven't picked back up yet. So 2011, everybody's just terrified. So back in 2011, there were deals everywhere. The problem was there was no money, right? So we have this weird thing happening, and you guys can see it right now. Today, there are tons and tons of people with money, and there are no deals, or there are less deals than there were. And then back in 2011, there were deals everywhere and no money. So you kind of have to figure this one out. Also, the other thing that I'm finding out today is that if there is a deal, it's more money than usual. It's much more money than usual because everybody has money. Interest rates are low, and so people are willing to pay more. So if you're a seller right now, you're in a really good position. So, so how do you become a seller today? Well, there's two ways. There's two ways to be a seller. One, go find a property at a low price and sell it at a higher price, right? So that's one, and Leah does quite a bit of that. And then two, buy 4 years ago or 5 years ago and then sell today. So, that's the problem though. You can't go back in time and buy something cheap. So you kind of got to work with what you got. And so what today I'm going to be showing you guys is a little bit about how to acquire properties, how to figure out the money and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to also go through a little bit about my background, and it'll open up questions, and then you'll be able to figure out what to ask me. Okay, so let's go into this. So here's back in 2016, I joined this group. So that's me. Random picture. I wasn't ready for it. I was just in the audience like you guys. Okay, so I want you guys to realize that I didn't know that I would be training people to become real estate investors. I just thought I was attending a real estate meeting, and I was attending a real estate meeting. And then this was our very first meeting. Actually, it was started by this guy right here and this guy right here. He is no longer with us. He is still with us, but he just moved to Tampa, Florida. And I actually bought a property that he had under contract. So I'm going to explain something. So imagine this guy here had a property under contract. He sold the property to this guy, and then this guy sold it to me. What do I mean by he had the property under contract? Well, let's pretend she was selling a house. Okay. She was selling a house. She was selling it for, I'll use my example. She was selling for $10,000. He said, okay, fine. I will buy it for $10,000. So he gets it. And let's pretend like this is the contract. So there's a contract that says she will sell her property for $10,000 to him. He actually sells the property to this guy for $20,000. He had no money in the deal. All he did was he got a property under contract. He got it under contract for $10,000 with her, sold it to him for $20,000. He's the actual end buyer. She got $10,000. He got $10,000. He brought no money to the table. All he did was print out a little piece of paper, had her sign, he signed, and that was that. So now he actually owns the property, and he sold it to me for $40,000. So from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. So that's how I got it. Now, I was talking to a friend about this deal when I first bought it, and I told him that I paid the guy $20,000 in profit. Like the guy made $20,000 when he sold me the house. And my friend was like, "What? You paid him $20,000? Why would you do that? That's a lot of money." Like he just went off, right? And I thought to myself, well, yes, I may have made him $20,000. He might have made $20,000 off of me, but I own the property. I own a 6-unit apartment building, right? I own a 6-unit apartment building now that I paid $40,000 for. If I'm happy with the $40,000, so what? Do you guys get that? Right? You guys see that, right? So, what I call that is minding your own business. Okay, minding your own business, because my business is me paying $40,000. His business is him making 20. I don't care that he made 20 because all I know is I paid 40, period. If he made $1 because he sold it or he bought it for $39,999 and sold it to me for 40, it's still my business is that I paid 40. And so I guess that's lesson number 1 for all of you guys who are trying to become better real estate investors. Mind your business. You guys hear that a lot, but I'm using it in the context of real estate. So I joined 4 years ago, and here I am today. Because of this opportunity, now I do all kinds of stuff. I was always an investor, but I am a lender. I'm an instructor. I do life insurance. So I do a bunch of different things now. And it all opened up because I joined the opportunity and put myself out there. And now I'm leading the thing, I'm leading the things, and I'm helping other people become real estate investors. Let me see. So Mary, Melissa, Cheryl, Bernard, are you guys yet real estate investors?
Not yet. I'm still looking for properties. I haven't found any as of yet.
Okay, no problem. Melissa, you took yourself off mute. You investor yet?
Yes, since 2013.
Oh, look at you. Okay. 2013. What kind of things are you investing in?
Right. So far, it's just been single family homes.
Okay. Do you have multiple or one, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I've done one buy and hold.
Okay.
That I still have as I own, but everything else has been fix and flip. Right now, I currently have 2 that is under contract. I mean, well, not under contract, under rehab.
Under rehab. Fantastic. And how did you fund the acquisition in the rehab?
I've been using the same hard money lender since 2013.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Congrats. Thank you. Cheryl?
No,
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay. But that's why you're here.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. All right. Bernard? Are you
actually brand spanking new, just looking at it?
brand spanking new, learning how to spell real estate?
Exactly.
I use that one a lot. I had a friend who I'll stop this real quick. So I had a friend who joined my group 3 years ago. He was working retail. Okay. He was working retail. He was selling sneakers. And he saw me posting on Facebook. I'm always talking about real estate. I'm always talking about financial intelligence and literacy and things like that. So he comes to the meeting, one of the live meetings, that like the picture that I showed you guys earlier. And he sat there, and I don't actually think he even knew that it was a real estate meeting. The reason he decided to come to the meeting is because he needed something else, right? And Dennis, you and I spoke about this briefly, right? He just needed something else, because otherwise what he would find is that he would just be getting another job if he needed more money, just like, and he worked at this job for 10 years. And maybe some of you guys can relate. He worked at this job for 10 years. He has 2 kids. He said to himself, if I worked this job 10 more years, I would have nothing to show for it. I worked 10 years already. I have nothing today. I couldn't pass down anything to my kids. And so he was like, if I continue another 10 years, I'm going to get the same result. So he was like, I just need something different. So he came to the meeting. He was like, I don't even think he knew that it was a real estate meeting at the end of it. Right. So he came to the meeting, and he just heard what was said, and he was like, you know what? I'm in. I don't necessarily have a better plan B, right? I don't have a better plan B. So I'm in. I don't even know what this is really, Hone. So whatever. He was like, I trust you and let's go. That year, that same year, now I'm going to say it with a little asterisk. That same year, he did 9 deals himself. His first one was a wholesale deal, and he made $10,000. I put the little asterisk because that's his story. I'm not saying that if you join, yeah, you become a real estate investor in the whole bit. I don't like saying that ever. I don't want any guarantees. I'm just telling you his story. When he joined, he did 9 deals. His first deal being a $10,000 wholesale. He wholesaled a property for $10,000. The other deals were buy and holds, fix and flips, and all that kind of stuff. But I bring up the story because I joke around all the time, and I say that he didn't even know how to spell real estate, and yet he joined this thing and he made it happen. He didn't have any money. His credit was bad. His credit is still bad. All right. His credit is still bad. He's done a bunch of deals. His credit is still bad. But I say all of that kind of stuff to say that you can do it if you figure out how this stuff works, right? If you figure out how to make the pieces work, you can do it. It doesn't matter if you don't have money. It doesn't matter if you don't have credit. You just better have more grit. Okay. Just have a lot of grit. This business requires a lot of grit. I think Leah's in the business. She can be like, yeah, this business does require grit because you got to deal with some stuff, but it's okay because the payday is nice. That's why you do it. You do a deal, you make 10,000, you make 20,000, you make 40,000, you make whatever you make, and it makes it all worth it because otherwise, how else do you make your money? And for most people, they give away all of their time for money, right? They give away all of their time from Monday through Friday. Nonstop. And when does it end? 40, 50 years later? Not years old, years later. Like, that's a long time. And if you guys stop to reflect for 1 second, this is the youngest you will ever be. You see how you look right now? This is the best. This is Bernard right there. How tight your skin is, how nice your hair is. This is the best it's going to be. It ain't going to get better. Well, maybe if you get rich, then you can pay for it, right? Then you can pay for it to get better. But these are the years that if you can figure out how to make your money in real estate or anything like that, without trading all of your time, this is key, right? Financial flexibility, let's call it. You get to choose whether you want to work or not, right? You get to choose who you work with, when you work, all of that kind of stuff. Now, like Leah, you probably work all the time, but you choose to work and you choose to work those hours. You choose to work who you want to work with and all of that kind of stuff. So it really depends. Having that flexibility is key. Dennis and I met Dennis yesterday at the mountain bike trail, believe it or not. We were mountain biking all yesterday. And here's what's fantastic. Yesterday was a Monday. There was no line whatsoever at the lift. So it's like skiing, right? You take a lift to the top of the mountain and then you ride your bike down the mountain. So that's where I met Dennis yesterday. Going on a Monday is much different than going on a Saturday, because from what I hear, you go on a Saturday and you wait in a long ass line to get on the lift. Go on a Monday, completely different. That flexibility, man, that just makes life that much better. So this is why.
And I happen to be on vacation time, right?
Yeah.
But you just had that flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference. I was using paid time off, which means a limited amount. So
yeah.
Can't do that every week. Can't do that every Monday.
Right. And if I wanted to go every Monday, I could. Now, could my body handle it? I don't know. Yeah. But yeah.
That's crazy that you say trading your time for money, because I'm a trucker.
Yep.
And I literally am on the road sleeping in the truck for 5 days straight to get my paycheck.
Wow.
Yeah, I need something else.
You do. And I mean, hey, I believe everybody has a gift. Like Bernard, I don't know you, right? But I believe you have a gift. I believe that I don't know it, and I believe that you might not know it yet either. And it's because you have all your time devoted to this truck that you never got a chance to just sit down and figure out what you're really great at and what the world needs and what value you can deliver. Part of my mission by helping people become more financially literate is to help them have the free time to figure out what their gift is so that they can give it to the world. If you gave your gift to the world, it would be a better world, right? And we all get to benefit from that. So unfortunately, that's not how most people live. 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever. In Bernard's case, Monday through Friday, living in a truck, like it's a tough life. But if you get smarter, you get to change all of that. So for some of you guys, you have no idea what a real estate deal looks like or what it entails, right? So I'm going to be talking from the point of view of when you do like a purchase. So this property here, this was, let me try to remember. This was a flip. Yes, this was a flip on Larchwood Avenue. Okay, that's in West Philly. So this is actually one of my really good friends. He was a groomsman in my wedding. So he came, he checked out the house with me. But if you guys see, I blew out the whole entire house. Like you see how there's a wall here, but then in this picture, there's no wall. I blow out all the walls to have that open concept that people like, right? So I blow it all out. Here, I kept the steps, actually, as you can tell. You rip off the carpet, you rip out the railings, and voila, you got this beautiful staircase. When really, it was the same staircase. It just was ugly. So this is what I do. I blow them out, right? Another way you might come across a property is where it's just full of trash too, right? Here, it's like, man, it's crazy. It looks crazy, right? And then you take out all the trash and it's a completely different property. It's like, oh, now I can see and I can envision stuff, right? So that's with trash. Let's look at this one here. So this one is, again, when you blow out the walls, right? You see, this is the same window. This is the window here. When you blow out the walls, the place just feels completely different. It's really nice. So it gets kind of scary though for people. This is a project that I'm working on right now as well, not literally right now, but this is, I have this project going on. So same thing. You see the stairs, they got the bend, right? But you blow it all out. I even blew out this wall here, right? Where the basement steps were. So what I get to do now, because I blow out this wall, is that I get to widen the basement steps. In Philadelphia, these basement steps are like, I want to say like 27 inches or something, 27 inches wide, which is really narrow when you're trying to get, let's say, a freezer, right? One of those like deep freezers, or if you're trying to get a washer and dryer down there or anything, right? It's just wider staircase is better. So by blowing out that wall, I get access to that. I can cut this floor back and widen the staircase. I also blew out the wall here, obviously, as you can tell. I blew out the wall there, and then it's all wide open. So this is going to be like the dining room. Over here is going to be the living room, and then this is going to be the kitchen, obviously. And then back here behind this window, see, this is the backyard door. There's a little room here, and I'm going to be shoving a washer and dryer right there. Right, so I'm going to do the washer and dryer. Also, I rip out the ceilings for a couple of reasons. One, you can't save these ceilings. Look at these old ceilings. And these old ceilings, they might have been asbestos ceilings. I don't know. But you rip them all out, and then you can put the recessed lighting. All right, you guys familiar with the recessed lighting, the little cans, right? So the only way to put them in really is just to cut out the ceilings. You nail them into the joist there. Right, you nail them into the joist, bada bing, bada boom, and then the house is going to be beautiful. Another property, this is a completely different kind of property here, but this is a property, this was a commercial mixed use. On the front was a store. It was actually a barbershop. And then what's nice is the residential, so all of the back and the top was all residential. The front was the storefront. While I was working on the rest of the house, the barbershop was still in operation. So I was still collecting rent from that one unit while I was fixing up all of the other units. So this wasn't where, in most rehabs, you have no income coming in, right? You have no income coming in. You're just paying all the bills. Here, it was kind of both. I had income coming in and I was working on it at the same time. So I think, Melissa, you were saying that you're doing 2 rehabs right now. I bet you're not collecting any income from them right now, but if it was multi-unit, you might be able to collect some income from some of them that are done, and then you can work on the others. So it's kind of neat. Here we did a whole bunch of siding. This property had this old wood siding. What we did, believe it or not, was we like scraped as much as we could and flattened this as much as we could, and then we just put the siding right on top because it would have cost too much money to rip this all down and put the new pieces and all that kind of stuff. So we just threw the siding right on top. Now, whether that was kosher or not, that's a different conversation, but it looks great. At the end of the day, it looks great, right? All right, so let's take a look. Here's a couple more projects that I did. Here, West Philly, again, I'm real big into West Philly, but here, like these cabinets, you really can't keep them. So this is where people get stuck. They'll look at a kitchen like this and be like, oh, you can maybe save some of this. You're not going to save any of this. Look at this look at this. It looks terrible, right? Like here, I'll make it bigger so that you guys can see it. Like, you're not saving these cabinets. You might, but you're not going to get really nice rent or anything like that. You're always going to have a problem. Some of these doors are missing. You're not going to find a replacement door. It's just almost not worth it. So you just rip it all out and just redo it. It'll save you time, hassle. You'll be proud of the project when you're done. So just, do it right. Do it right the first time. Let's see. Here's a project that I got. Oh, this one's fun. So this here is a property that I got. This one's in the Northeast, actually. So when they were living here, it looked like this, right? They had these 2 dogs, and these 2 dogs went to the bathroom everywhere. You can't really see it, but they went everywhere. So when you walk into the house, immediately you can smell it. It's kind of like a subway station, like when you go like down the steps and Leah's like, ew, right? But there's like, it's got that smell. And even if you vacuum it, even if you do carpet cleaning, it's just not going to do it. Right. So I ripped up all the carpet. What's crazy is that wasn't enough. I had to rip up the subfloor too, because the carpet soaked it all in, and then the carpet padding soaked it all in, and then the subfloor, the wood subfloor underneath, soaked it all in. So even after I ripped up all the carpet, it still smelled terrible. So I had to rip it all up, and then I put this down. Now, this looks like hardwood. This is not hardwood. This is called vinyl planks, luxury vinyl planks. You get it from Home Depot for $1.79 a square foot. And the reason I like these is because they are waterproof and scratch proof and pretty cheap, right? Easy to install. But it's pretty much bulletproof for a tenant, for when, if let's say I replace the floors with carpet again, the tenant I put in, by the time they move out a year or 2 years later, I would have to replace the carpet. But this floor here, I could probably keep this in here for the next 10, 20 years and never have to replace it. It probably wouldn't even have a scratch on it. Even if it did, it wouldn't be too bad, right? So you may want to consider these vinyl floors. They're amazing. I use them in all my properties now. And then what's nice is when you use them in all your properties, if you ever needed a patch or a piece or something like that, you just have the same template. Right. So what I want you guys to do when you're building your real estate business is consider that you're trying to build it's almost like a franchise, meaning you have the same process, the same materials, the same flow, the same everything. So that like, if I needed to repaint this wall, I already know the color from Home Depot, and I can have a 5-gallon bucket and I can paint here. I can paint this property. I can paint this property because they're all the same color. All my properties are the same color. And for the properties that were painted before I figured this out, right? Because this is a learning experience. Before I figured it out, I bit the bullet and I repainted the property anyway. So I would repaint the property all to match the same color scheme. I also particularly like this deal because I bought this property using a financing strategy called Subject to. Okay, it's called Subject to. The owner had a mortgage on the property. and they were going to sell me the property for $6,000 more than I owed, right? They were going to sell it to me for $6,000 more than they owed. So I'll give you guys some numbers. They wanted to sell the house for $110,000. They had a mortgage of $104,000. I said, okay, no problem. Do me a favor. I'm going to have to do some work on the property. Allow me to pay your monthly mortgage payments, okay? I'm going to pay your monthly mortgage payments. You just leave the mortgage in place, right? I'm going to pay your monthly mortgage payments, and I will give you the money that you were going to walk away with anyway. So let's pretend like Dennis was selling me the house for $110,000, and he had a mortgage for $104,000. When traditionally, if I were to go buy the house, I would bring $110,000 to the table. Dennis would get $6,000, and then the other $104,000 would go to Wells Fargo to pay off the existing mortgage. So Dennis would walk away with $6,000 anyway. So I said, let me pay the mortgage. The deed, which is a different document, right? The deed is different than the mortgage. So I'll take it off share screen. The deed is different than the mortgage. Okay. The deed went into my name. The mortgage stayed in Dennis's name. Dennis still technically owes $600 or whatever dollars a month towards that mortgage, right? I paid it on behalf of Dennis. I did not assume the mortgage. The mortgage did not go into my name. This is the part that people get confused all of the time. Dennis, he got the $6,000 that he was going to get. He's happy. He moved. All is good in the world. I'm paying the $600 towards Dennis's mortgage. He technically still has a mortgage. So then what happened is I paid the $6,000, and then I had to come up with money to rehab the property. So the question is, where did I come up with the money to rehab the property? Well, interestingly enough, Dennis actually works at a bank, Wells Fargo, I believe, and Wells Fargo offers things like lines of credit and credit cards and loans, and they're unsecure, meaning there's no collateral, there's no building, there's nothing attached to it. It is just based off of your credit worthiness. So I, before doing this deal, got lines of credit both in my business name and in my personal name. And so I have access to capital. I didn't need to use it at that very moment, but I had access. So the other thing I want you guys to do is, if you can, apply for lines of credit with different institutions. When I say institutions, I mean either banks or credit unions. Get these lines of credit, have them available. There's a saying that I like: stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? I had the money available via lines of credit and credit cards and all of that kind of stuff before the deal. Okay? So then when the deal came my way and it was time for me to come up with $6,000, I pull it from the line of credit. Here you go, Dennis. And then when I need to fix up the property, I get it from the line of credit. And I use that to pay for materials and whatnot, right? Pay the contractors, pay materials, boom. When I'm all done, okay? When I'm all done, the property is worth more, okay? And I know this because you do your numbers before you buy things, okay? Before you buy things. So I know what the value of the building is. And so when I'm all done, I go to refinance the building. So then I go back to the bank and I say, hey, I have this building available. It's fixed up. It's rented, right? It's fixed up. It's rented. I am looking to pay off the existing mortgage. I need to refinance this property. They do the numbers. They're like, Hone, we sent an appraiser out there. The building's worth $200,000. Fantastic. Based off of $200,000, we can lend you $150,000. That means that's 75% loan to value. We can lend you $150,000. I go, great. I have a $104,000 mortgage, and I also have this $6,000 line of credit that I took out, and I also have another $25,000, $30,000 in line of credit that I use for the rehab, right? So 110 plus 30, that's 140. The bank's willing to give me 150. Are you guys following these numbers? The bank's willing to give me 150. I only owe 140. That means they're willing to give me more than 100%. So for everybody who ever says to me, but Hone, I don't have the money. In that deal that I just described to you guys, I walked away with $10,000 and I still own the building. I now have a mortgage for $150,000 with the new bank that refinanced me, right? So now I just owe the monthly payment for the 150 to that bank. And how do I pay that? They go, Hone, but I can't handle 2 mortgages. Hone, I can't handle 3 mortgages. How do you think I pay that? Money from the tenants that I rented to. I'm collecting additional income. That building is an asset. You guys get that, right? So I could have no money. I do the deal. I walk away with $10,000 extra in my pocket, completely tax-free, because that's loan proceeds. That is money from the loan. That's not capital gains. No taxes. $10,000 in my pocket. I have debt for $150. I owe, let's say, $800 a month. I collect $1,500 a month in rent. I pay the mortgage. I collect the difference. Now, there's a couple other fees like taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, management, vacancy, all that kind of stuff. But you guys get the point, right? I collect the cash flow off of a building that I have no money tied up in. So for everybody who's like, oh, and I don't got the money. No, you just lack the creativity. That's all. You just lack the creativity. Guys, you get paid for stuff like this. And now that's a baby scale. There are people who do this where they cash out $600,000, like, because their deals are huge, right? They're doing like a $40 million deal, and then they do this whole thing. They refinance. They're like, oh yeah, I cashed out $1.2 million, and I gave $600,000 to one of my investors, and I kept the other $600,000, and they still have the property that's bringing in cash flow. So you made money tax-free, and then you got cash flow, and you still own the building that can go up in value, right? And then over time, your principal is being paid down. Your mortgage is being paid down every single month. So eventually you own that sucker free and clear. Or you refinance again and you pull out more money later. It's crazy. It's like the chicken that just kept laying the golden eggs over and over and over. So I'm going to pause there. Guys, give me some questions. What do you guys got for me? Dennis, you're on mute.
Essentially, with finding people in those positions, like in the position of looking to like ditch their mortgage, or they're not necessarily on the seller's market, unlike for say Zillow or.
So is your question like, how do you find them?
Yeah.
Okay, great question. Here's what's fun, right? So I like to say good investors find those people. Great investors create those people. All right. So I meet Leah. Leah, hey, I see that you have a house for sale. Yeah. Leah is just looking to sell the house. Leah is not interested in necessarily doing subject to or seller finance and all that kind of stuff. She's just looking to sell it. She doesn't even know that strategy exists. The people that sold me that house, they had no idea. They were not sophisticated investors. They lived there for the last 20 years. They were just looking to sell a house. That's it. It's not that you find them. You just find people who are selling a house. So Leah is just looking to sell a house. And I say, Leah, well, what are you going to do with the money? What's your next plans? How long have you lived here? Why are you selling? All of these kind of things, right? And I'm creating rapport and I'm understanding her situation. And so Leah's like, well, Hone, I'm moving to Florida. I just need the money for the moving truck. Everything else is all set up, blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. Leah, would you do me a favor? So as you can see, you have a beautiful house, but I want to make some minor improvements, and I'm going to need the money for the rehab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to pay your mortgage. And then in a couple of months, I'm just going to refinance and pay off the whole thing. But in the meantime, I'll give you your money that you were going to walk away with for the moving truck and everything else. Just allow me to continue to pay your mortgage for the next couple of months. And then she's like, okay, no problem. Leah might say, but Hone, wait. I wasn't born yesterday. What if you stop paying my mortgage? What if you stop? Right? I can read Leah's mind, by the way, if you guys don't know this. This is why I want the cameras on, because you don't have to say anything. I can see what you're thinking. So Leah goes, Hone, but what if you don't pay my mortgage? Well, Leah, you know the money that I gave you? You get to keep that. And here's the other thing, where you have a contract where if I stop paying your mortgage, I have then messed up our agreement. There's a contract that has me selling the house back to you for $1. So you would get the house back. So we have that in the escrow account with the title company. Now, pause. I am not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I am not anything. I am just some dude that you came to listen to because you like me for whatever reason. That's my disclaimer, guys. So anything I say cannot be used against me in a court of law. Now, have I done such things myself personally? Yes. Am I just telling you guys fun stories, fun anecdotes? Yes. Am I practicing law? Hell no. So with all that said, let's enjoy the show, right? So, Leah, I will sign this document that says that I am selling you back the property for $1. The title company is going to hold that. If I don't pay, you call the title company will figure it all out. You get the property back and you keep all the money I've given you. So, and all of the work that I've done, you get all that stuff too. So it's a good thing. She gets the house back, all that stuff. So there's a win. Also, Leah, I don't know. Do you want a whole bunch of people walking through your house? I know, like you're trying to sell it, but do you want a whole bunch of people walking through your house, just kind of like kicking stuff, and maybe they might steal like whatever that's on your nightstand, and you always have to worry about people coming through, and it's a terrible situation, right? So here's what I'll do for you. I've done this for a lot of people. I bought Mary Brown's house. I bought Cheryl's house. I bought Melissa's house, right? And so, Leah, I would love to buy your house as well. And what I've done for them is I buy houses as is. I don't need you to fix anything. I don't need you to worry about anything. All I need you to do is figure out what moving truck or company you're going to hire, because I'm going to buy it as is and call it a day. Done is done, right? And so that's a huge appeal to somebody selling, right? All you got to do is pack up and go. Done deal. Sell it to me. We're done. We're good. You don't have to market it. You don't even have to pay a commission to anybody. No commissions necessary, right? So then she agrees. You create these people. You see that, Dennis, right? Big difference. There's not like a database of like all these people want to sell using subject to or seller finance. They don't even know that exists. You create these people based on the words that you say. So you got to know what you're talking about though, right? Before, you got to stay ready. So you ain't got to get ready. You got to know it before you go in. You have to know what to say before you get in front of the seller. Very important. Very important. Make sense, Dennis? Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's go back to screen share mode. All right. Let's see. What property is this? Oh, I remember this one. This one is in Southwest, actually, interestingly enough. This house is on a beautiful block. The owner lived here for a very long time. She was like 10 when she put these stones. See these interesting stones in the doorway? So she's like 10 years old putting these stones in. And then now she's like 40 and she's selling the property. So I buy the property. You can't see too much because the sun is like beaming, but I bust all the walls and all kinds of stuff. I could have, now why did I do this? I'm trying to think. Why did I? Oh, what you can't see is there's a wall here too. So I cut it here. Like I cut the wall here and then here, and I went up like this. It went up and down and like that. There are pipes in this wall, right? So we only cut it, but it's too washed out. You can't see it. So there's pipes going up and down this wall. So since we couldn't blow out the whole entire wall, we blew it out to here. And then we made this little thing here. And I put a cabinet right here. I put a wall cabinet I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of it. I put a wall cabinet on the other side. I used a wall cabinet because the wall cabinet's only 12 inches deep. So the 12-inch deep cabinet plus this made a nice little island that was about 2 feet wide. It was perfect. Nice little, just extra table, kind of like a breakfast nook. So then we dangled 2 lights, I think, from the top here. And we made a nice little breakfast nook. And that's how you open up the space without having to reroute the plumbing. So stuff like that happens. You just got to have these ideas to work around it, right? So that's what I did there. Let's see, final show and tell piece. We got this sucker right here. So this is one of like my before and afters, so you guys can see what it kind of looks like. This used to be a wall, as you can tell, right? So this used to be a wall here. There was a little wall right here too. And then it was like a doorway. So this had a doorway here. And this was a big wall. You see these pipes here? This is what I'm talking about. These pipes, these are like radiator pipes. Or no, these are water pipes, right? These are water pipes. So in that last picture over here, there are those kind of pipes in that wall, right? So these pipes existed in that other picture. In this house, I did not reuse any of the plumbing. In the other house, I reused some of the plumbing. So that's why I kept the wall up. Here, I would have needed to reroute this if I was not redoing stuff. So there's that. Notice that the window's gone. That's because I built a bathroom right here, and I reused this window as the bathroom window. So you put a toilet and a sink, and then you build out the wall, bada boom. I ended up cutting more of this here, cutting more of this out, and yeah, this is what you get. So you open it up. This is hardwood floor, and this was a flip. Usually with flips, I use hardwood. With rentals, I use that vinyl stuff. People like hardwood, so they pay extra for hardwood. I don't particularly like hardwood. I don't care for it. Whatever. So, but I'm not living there. I'm not living in there. I'm selling it. So the other tip, know your end buyer, know the market. What do they want? Just because you like vinyl and they like hardwood doesn't mean you put vinyl in and change their opinion. That's bad business. Don't do that. You don't have time. Like, just sell the property with what they want. And if you guys notice, my walls, my coloring, all that kind of stuff, there's nothing crazy in there. Light gray walls, white baseboards, white ceiling, stuff like that. That's your cookie cutter. You got the, nice floors. And then you have like one little accent piece, like a chandelier or something like that. You don't go nuts because you don't know what they want. And if you do like a purple wall because you're trying to be artistic this time, purple wall with orange accents, that's going to drive some people away. You might find that one person who likes it, but for the most part, you don't want to do stuff like that. You're going to pay extra, and it's not going to get you extra. What you guys want to do is, for every $1 that you put into the deal, you want to make $2 back or whatever, right? But when you do fancy things, you might put $2 in and get $1 back. That's not how you want to do this business, right?
Excuse me, hon. Can I ask you a quick question?
Maybe, Mary. How much money you got?
You mentioned having templates, the type of stove, type of refrigerator, type of paint. Do you make a list of those items with the SKU numbers and the paint color and all that?
With the paint color, I have a paint rep at Home Depot. So Behr Paint, the brand Behr, they have reps that work at Home Depot. And when I need paint, I say, hey, Nick, what did I order for this one? Or what did I order for that one? Can I get more of that? And voila. So I don't have anything like that. The floors, I just use the same floors. It's like I know the model. I don't know the SKU number, but I know it's like Allure, Traffic Master, khaki oak. That's the color. And I know that, right? Same thing with the paint, right? So I don't, with the appliances, I don't have a go-to appliance because they're all kind of the same. Even different manufacturers, it's all kind of the same. It's either white, black, or stainless steel, right? That's it, really. White, black, stainless steel. And then there's like your cheap stuff, and then there's your mid-grade, and then there's your expensive stuff. If it's a rental, you just buy the cheap stuff. And now whether it's white, black, or stainless steel, that's up to you and your color scheme. So I keep it pretty simple. When it's a flip, I use white cabinets. When it's a rental, I use the darker cabinets. And again, it's just real simple. Between a flip and a rental, they're very similar because they all have appliances, they all have flooring, they all have cabinets, they all have those things. But the quality that you choose and the color that you choose will vary. So you'll look at my rentals, and my rentals will look as good as my flips. But when you look at the details, they're slightly different in the details. Like, oh, that's a different floor. But oh, at home, I noticed all your floors and all your rentals are the same, right? When it comes to flips, you don't necessarily need a template so much because you're selling it. You're not going to have to go back there and fix it and patch it and all of that kind of stuff. So you can go a little bit more creative if you want on a flip, because most likely you won't have to go back to it. Now, if you're doing it large scale and you're doing 20 flips, 20 flips a year, you may want to have just the one color that you do in all your flips. Now, actually, the paint color that I use in my rentals and my flips are the same because the paint is the same cost. So I use the same paint all over the place. But with flips, you can be more creative because you're going to sell the property and never see that property ever again. So those are some of the things that you should keep in mind. Anybody else have any other questions? Is this helpful? Is the stuff that I'm telling you guys helpful? Yeah.
I feel like this is a stupid question, but what do you mean by when you flip a house?
Sell it. When you buy it, fix it up and sell it. Sell it to a homeowner.
Okay.
And then when I rent it or have a rental, that's when I have a tenant that I'm going to be maintaining. But when I flip it, that's when I'm selling it. That's lingo. That's like real estate lingo.
I have a quick question with the properties. So with what you were mentioning, is there any services you recommend? Using for, financials. I work for a bank. I understand the options available on that side, but more on the real estate side, like you said, kind of like creating those situations where you find a good deal. But do you suggest kind of like avoiding searching a lot of those real estate sites? Like, or is that like a thing to stay away from, or a thing to look into and browsing properties and stuff like that? You have all these different big time platforms now online and apps and stuff like that. Do you tend to create your own deals, or do you consider those resources?
I personally tend to create my own deals because I run real estate groups just like this. And imagine, let's say Mary, she's like, Hone, I went to that meeting that you had on Tuesday, and on Thursday, my good friend wanted to sell a house. Hone, do you want to buy the house? And I'm like, yes, I'll buy the house. So a lot of times deals are just brought to me, so I don't have to search. Now, would you have to search because you are not yet in my position? Yes. Where the deal comes from is not as important as how much you pay for the deal. So never overpay. That's where you get into trouble. And people will overpay. And you would think, why would anybody overpay? And then they also say things like, business, there's no emotions in business. You kidding me? Everybody is emotional. They are so emotional in this business. I'm telling you, you try to leave it at the door, you can't. You get frustrated, you get angry, you get sad, you get this, that, the other. So, and your ego plays a part. So Dennis, you're coming in and you're like after you hear all this stuff, and then after you attend more classes and all that kind of stuff, and you learn what this business has to offer, you're like, Hone, this year I'm doing 10 deals. 10 is the number, right? Cool. You're on your 8th one. It's November. And you're like, oh man, I got to do 2 more. And then somebody brings you a deal and they're overpriced by a little bit. And you're like, oh, maybe, maybe I'll get that. It's like, why? To hit your arbitrary 10 number? Well, yeah, because you said that you would do it, and you're not a liar, are you, Dennis? You're not a liar, right? You said you do 10 this year. And you're like, oh, fuck. So then you buy properties that don't necessarily meet whatever criteria that you set earlier. So where the property comes from is not as important as how much you pay. Now, if you're looking on Zillow and all of those bigger sites, they may be overpriced simply because if they were not overpriced, someone like me or somebody else would have bought it already. You get that? Right? So a lot of times what's left is the garbage, but you do get lucky sometimes. And also, just because they have listed, oh, we want to sell for 110, doesn't mean you're going to buy it for 110. Maybe they had it on the market for 400 days. And you come around and you're like, I'll give you 70. And then they look at each other and they're like, I don't want to go 500 days. Let's just do it. And then they sell you the property. You're going to have to learn all these things. There's so much to learn. And I'm just dumping on you guys. Like, I'm just like, y'all want more? Y'all want more? Y'all want more?
Mhm.
Like, I got it. Right. You're going to learn all of these different things about how to find deals, how to finance deals. And you're in a bank, but you still think traditionally. You're still legal beagle. I need some time to corrupt you a little bit and figure out how to use creative financing in real estate to do these deals. But you get to learn all that kind of stuff too. Did you have another question, Dennis?
Well, I guess to expand upon that, there's got to be ways to obviously shortcut like certain realtors too, like people like that I guess are arranged by the seller to go and put stuff on like their Zillow page or their Remax page because they're the realtor, right? So there's got to be something that happens before that where maybe you can get in contact before a realtor gets somebody, right? Or
yeah.
or,
So there's a lot of tactics. I don't know if you've ever seen on the pole on the streets that say we buy houses cash. Well, that is shortcutting the realtor, right? You're getting in front of the seller before a realtor gets them. So they're driving down from the 9 to 5 that they hate, and they're just hating life. And they're like, I want to sell my house. I want to get out of here. And they see your sign that says we buy houses cash. And they're like, huh? And they call, and voila. Hey, Dennis, I saw your sign. You want to buy my house? And then you say yes. You go there. You negotiate. You get it at the price that you need it. Boom.
and that's even if there's still a mortgage.
It
can be, right?
That's a different conversation. Mortgage, no mortgage, they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell for whatever price they're trying to sell for. What they walk away with is dependent on whether they have a mortgage or not. So 2 totally different conversations right there. But yeah, that's one way. The other way is you can send them a letter. You can write, Dear George, I understand that you live at 123 Main Street. Ever consider selling your house? If so, I'm buying. Send it. They call you. Or they text you, take me off your list. God damn it. I hate you guys. That happens too. So you get to learn all that kind of stuff.
We get those from the bank too. So it's not like it makes any difference as to whether it's you individually or when you're working from a bank, you'll still get the take me off your list or don't call or this or that. So.
Exactly. But you see, same strategies, right? Same exact marketing strategies. So you can either deal with the realtor or you can deal with the seller directly. If you deal with the seller directly, maybe you can negotiate a better price because they are the gatekeeper, right? The seller is the gatekeeper, the realtor is the gatekeeper. The seller is the decision maker. It's the decision maker you need to talk to. But usually you get stopped at the gatekeeper, which is the realtor. You talk to them. They translate, they influence, they filter, you know. So sometimes you can talk to the seller. That's even better. The other thing you can do is wear shirts. I don't know if you saw the shirt that I was wearing yesterday, but it says we buy houses. So
Yeah,
you might,
I saw that.
yeah. See, so somebody could have been bike riding, be like, "You buy houses?" Yeah, I mean that's what my shirt says, right? And then they buy, then you can buy their house. So you never know. You just never know. And with time, you will learn how you will operate because there's so many things you can do. The real question is, what will you do? You could literally walk up and down the street of your house and knock on all the doors and say, "Are you selling?" That's what you could do, but most likely what you won't do. It's endless, right? It's endless. But there's a lot of things that you can do. And over time, you will figure out what you will do. You could be like me and you can run real estate meetings every single day of your life. But will you? I don't know. I do. But that's me. And that's what I chose. And so this is my life. Me talking to you guys. I love this. See, and this is that thing, right? Do what you love and you never feel like you're working. I don't feel like I'm working. I'm just telling you guys cool stories and you guys are all here listening and all intent and stuff. Like, it's great. I have an audience. It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. So great questions though. Great questions. Let's look at a situation. So here's an idea. This is a hypothetical example. Let's pretend each house is worth $200,000, right? So we got 10 houses here, $200,000. That's a $2 million portfolio, $2 million. Dennis is like, "Oh, I don't got the money. I can't buy that. That's $2 million. I don't have $2 million." That's how everybody thinks it initially. And if each one of these houses brought in $500 a month from the rent, that's what's left over, cash flow. $500 a month times 10, that's $5,000 a month in passive income. If you think about it, this is probably worth $20,000 a month. And what I'm saying is this $5,000 a month passive is more valuable to me than $20,000 a month where I have to bust my ass for it, right? Big difference, because with the $5,000 a month passive, I get to go bike riding whenever I want. I get to hang out with my friends. I get to see my family. I can do whatever I want versus $20,000 a month and you're killing yourself at your job that you hate and your soul is dying day by day. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about when your soul dies. You might not believe in souls, yet you know when it dies because you feel it every minute that you're at work. So this is an example of how you get to escape if you choose. I'm not saying that do this, you escape and all that kind of stuff. This is just a hypothetical just to get your brain going. If you had this just on 10 measly properties, right? So Dennis, not to put your business out there, but you're 26 years old. Let's say you did this and you bought one house every year for 10 years. You'd be 36 years old. You'd still be younger than me. You'd have all of these houses. You'd be collecting $5,000 a month passive. That could replace your income. You could move out. You could do whatever it is that you want to do without having to work. Amazing, isn't that? And all you had to do was buy one little house every single year for the next 10 years. I almost made that work. So that's it. And how did you afford these houses? You figured out a creative strategy, the ones that I'm teaching you guys, the one that I'm talking about, right? You just figure out all of the different ones. This person might say yes to a subject too. They might not say yes. If they say no, then what? Well, then there's option B, and then there's option C, and then there's option D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, right? There's all of those options. But if you don't know them, you can't do them. So if you had this scenario, 10 houses, $500 a month, $5,000 a month. Awesome, right? So now, most people try to figure this out. They go, okay, the house is worth $200,000. I'm going to put 20% down. I know money. I know finances. I'm going to get a mortgage. You need $450,000 to do this. You don't have that. You see this? 10 times 40 plus 5,000 for closing. $45,000 per house. $450,000. Most of you don't have that. That is a problem. There are some people who come on this call who are like, Home, I have $45,000. I can do that. Yes, you can do one. And then the train stops. You see that? That's the problem. Hone, I got $45,000. Okay, you do the one. Now what? I don't know. Work, save. Okay. How long does it take you to save $45,000? I don't know. A year, 2 years, something. I don't know. I've never done it, Hone. I've never saved $45,000, so I couldn't tell you how long that takes. So you guys see how this is a problem? How you need $450,000, but you don't have it. So you got to figure out, how are you going to do this? You need to learn all of those other strategies. You need to learn how to raise money. You need to leverage hard money. You need to learn subject to, seller finance, lease option, contract for deed. You got to know how all of those differ. When do you use a regular mortgage? What else can you do? Right? Can you do a self-directed retirement account? Can you use a life insurance policy? What else? What else? Right? There's so many things. So how do we go about doing this? How do people learn about all of this? Well, luckily for you guys, we have a curriculum of 450 plus hours of online video training taught by all of these professionals who do this for a living. These people were hired to teach a class on something specific. So, for example, these two were hired to teach fix and flip. He was hired to teach short sales and subject to. He was hired to teach creative acquisitions, and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? So you got all of these people who specialize in different things, who teach this topic and recorded a video. Each video is 8 hours long. 8 hours. Now, you can be like me and you can listen to it in double speed. So now an 8-hour video is now a 4-hour video, and you don't have to consume it all at once. But if you do consume it, you get to become that investor that you want to be. Mark Kohler, this guy right here, he's a CPA and tax attorney. Why is that important? Because the biggest expense in your life will be taxes. It is super important that you learn how to pay less in taxes. If you have a job, you have no choice. You pay the highest in taxes, believe it or not. You have the worst working situation because you work all the time, and then you pay the most in taxes. Congratulations. You did exactly what society told you to do, and you're getting screwed without knowing it, and you have no choice. You have no tax options as a W-2 employee. When's the last time you wrote off anything cool, Dennis? Never, because you're not allowed to, because W-2 employees don't write off stuff. Entrepreneurs get to write off stuff. I can take business trips. I can write off food. I can do training. I can do all kinds of stuff, and I can write those things off. So, and mileage too. So I can write off the mileage on my car. You can't write that off as you drive to work. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. So more and more and more classes, even classes like negotiations, right? Remember, I said great investors, they create the deals. They don't look for them. Negotiations. Sometimes you create a deal and don't even know it, right? Create a deal, don't even know it. So what are we talking about? So we have these different classes. Velocity banking, how to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 7 to 10 years. Understanding credit, how to improve your credit score, how to get more access to unsecured lines of credit, credit cards, and loans, right? How to use those things effectively. Right? Tax and legal, day 1 and day 2. There's 2 days because there's a lot of stuff for you to know. Real estate foundations, launch to success, deal at a decade. So Dennis, you were asking, like, how do I find these deals? This class here, Deal at a Decade, tells you all about deals that you might have never thought about, such as, I'll give you one little topic, probates. Probate is when somebody dies and the property is left to their heirs. So how do you find those? And how do you have that conversation? You have to be very gentle with that one. That one's very sensitive. But If you do it the
Well,
right way,
we deal with we deal with that with the probate finances at the bank, you know. So people die, we still have to give them financial options with like, which sometimes do end up helping, right? So sometimes you need a financial advisor to step in or somebody to
bingo.
help manage that
Yeah.
sudden large change.
Windfall of money or whatever, change. Yeah. All that. What if, Dennis, you were able to pick up all the houses every time there was a probate? Imagine that. Or maybe not all of the houses, maybe just one a year for the next 10 years. Or any variation. You get what I'm saying? Right? So you gotta know these things, right? And if you knew, you would have maybe figured out how to pick up at least a couple of houses by this point. But this is why we met. It wasn't for you to be impressed by how much air I got off the ramps, even though you
I
did.
was.
Right.
Was impressed.
But it was really so you could meet me, so that you can be on this meeting, so that you can understand this financial awareness, financial intelligence, so that you don't focus on making so much money, because the money comes and you can give your gift to the world. And I don't know what that gift is. Maybe your gift is teaching kids how to fly on mountain bikes or dirt bikes, right? And helping them have more happiness and get off their iPad. I don't know. But I don't know, you don't know, because we're all working all the time. But if you have more free time, you get to share your gift. And that's what I want all of you guys to do. Share your freaking gift, because you all have it. It's just you guys are all consumed with work, because that's what society tells us that we should do. Work, and then die. That's the plan. Work, die, they rehire somebody else. Thanks for all your time. Self-directed IRA. Now, I know a lot of you guys have heard about an IRA, but self-directed, what's that mean? Well, people can direct their IRA to buy real estate. And I don't mean REITs. I don't mean real estate investment trusts. I don't mean like the stocks of real estate. I mean the actual real estate. You can buy investment properties using your IRA. Now, there's a lot of rules around it. How do you learn all the rules, Hone? You watch the video. There's 8 hours included here, right? So we got all of these classes in the Essentials package. We have a Profits package. These classes are all about business development. Some of you guys don't even like real estate. You guys want to learn all about business. These have all of the business classes that you need in order to know how to build a real business. And when I mean real business, I mean a business where you don't have to work in it, where you're not the system. You notice how Mr. Wells Fargo, I don't even know who created Wells Fargo, but you see how, Dennis, you're in place and there's not a Mr. Wells Fargo there?
I think
right?
It's Henry Wells and John Fargo.
There you go. You see how Mr. Wells and Mr. Fargo are not working the branch that you're at, right? And you see how it's still going? That's called a real business. Now, for most people, they're like, hey, look at me. I just opened up an ice cream store. If they died, there would be no more ice cream store, because they're the ones who scoop all the ice cream. They're the ones who order all the ice cream. They're the ones who take the cash to the bank. They're the ones who take the loans for the property. They're the ones who do everything. That's not a business. That's a job that they own. You guys get the difference? It's a job that they own, right? So just be very mindful of the difference. And by having these classes, you don't fall into that trap, right? If Bernard was like, Hone, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to start a trucking company. And if Bernard had one truck and he did all the driving, he does not have a business. He has a job. You guys get that? He has a job. He just owns the truck. And what's worse, he can never call off. There is no replacement at the job that he created, because it's just him. That's why these classes, super important. How to create a real business. Business automation. This class is really cool. I'll give you guys the pop quiz. Leah, you're pretty smart, right? So if you were sitting in front of a slot machine and you put $1 in the slot machine, and every time you put the $1 in and you played, $2 came out. You won. Bingo. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it again. You put another $1 in. $2 came out. You put another dollar in, $2 came out. How long would you sit there for putting dollars into this machine, Leah? How long would you sit there for? She said, she mouthed, a long time. You guys said, everybody agree? A long time. You put a dollar in, she sit there a long time. I wouldn't. I would train somebody else to sit there for me, and I'd give them a little bit of it, and I would go mountain biking. You guys see that? That's real business. Leah owned the business, which was really her owning a job. She still put the dollar into the machine. That's the kind of thinking that you get when you get involved with a program like this. Your brain just gets rewired completely, right? So that's the kind of stuff. That's how you get elevated. That's how you get to that next level, right? All right. So this extreme classes, extreme package, it has all of these different classes. I mean, there's a ton here. Anything that you may want to do, whether it's commercial properties or multifamily properties, and you want to learn about rehabbing or flipping or buying foreclosures. Dennis, remember you were like, where do you get these deals from? Maybe you can deal with foreclosures. You know about those. Wells Fargo forecloses on tons of people, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, foreclosures. What about short sales? When the property's upside down and then Wells Fargo has to agree to do a short sale. Maybe that, or subject to. Or you do a lease option. You don't even buy the property. You get it under a lease option. What's that? It's in the video. Buy and hold, how to do rentals with single families, advanced velocity banking, all of the ratios and the mathematics behind paying off a 30-year mortgage in 7 to 10 years. Nightly rentals. What does that mean? Airbnb, VRBO, vacation rentals, all of those things. How do you do that? Land development. Some of you guys come across land. What do you do with it? Develop it. Figure it out. Here it is, land development. 1031. How do you sell properties and then pay no taxes on the capital gains? You roll it using a 1031, but you got to know the rules. That's what this class is for. Wholesaling. That's what Leah does. That's where you get the property under contract and then you sell the contract for 5, 10, 15, 20,000. A friend of mine wholesaled contract. He had 2 of them. He made $110,000 per contract. Per 2. The houses were next to each other. Sold it to an investor. Boom. Great money. Great money. Doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, it's a good day. Drinks on me, right? So learn this stuff. Your life can change. It's amazing. It's amazing. Because your life, think about it. Your life is completely just based on your thoughts. Dennis, remember that giant jump that we did, the phantom jump where you can't see?
Oh yeah, that thing
right?
was crazy.
Do you remember how much in your
Yeah.
head you were though? Right before you were just like, oh man,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. Blah, 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 blah. And then the one dude did it, and then I
You
did it.
can't see the landing.
Yeah. But then the
Yeah,
dude did it, and then I did it, and then the next guy did it, and then you did it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can do amazing things. You can do really amazing things. It's just, what does your brain tell you, and who are you hanging around? You did that because the other guy was able to kind of tow you in. You were watching him. Oh, that's how you do it? Easy. And you
Yeah.
did, and you were great. Imagine if you were in a group with other people who are doing stuff like that, but in the financial world. So that's what we have going on. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So we have a Zoom training just like this, but it's with members. You guys are not yet members. You guys are all just first-time guests. We have a Zoom call with members and we discuss different topics. We have a whole curriculum based on the classes that I just showed you. And when the coronavirus wasn't here, we used to have property tours. Do you guys remember when people used to get together? Wasn't that nuts? Look at that. That's crazy, isn't it? Not a mask in sight. All these people all together. But we used to have property tours. We would show what's going on in the property, what kind of floor we use, what paint, what tips and tricks, and how we financed it, and how much we bought it for, how much we rehabbed it for, all that. Also, we used to have charity events and all that kind of stuff. This is where I invited a whole bunch of big-time real estate investors. I had them all come. I had them share all their horror stories and success stories and all that kind of stuff. And this gave people a chance to network with people that you might have never met before. And that's really key. There are big time investors. Imagine if you could meet someone like Grant Cardone or something like that, or I don't even know, like Elon Musk. I think everybody knows Elon Musk. Like imagine if you can meet Elon Musk and network with him and just ask him random questions, right? So that's the equivalent, but it's maybe not so big, but big time real estate investors, and just being able to be with them and talk to them and just see how they're being, what questions they have, and then also what answers they give you for the questions you have. So it's just really nice to be around those people. So I really enjoyed putting together events to bring everybody together. Also, we have a Facebook group. So if you have a question about anything at all, you put it on the Facebook group and then people answer them. And there's hundreds of people in the group. So it's really nice. This is where I find my properties. People bring them to me. They know me in the group. I know them. They say, Hone, you want to buy it? Or other people will post stuff for sale. So someone like Leah, she might post a property. Hey, I got this for sale. Who wants it? This is a private group. There aren't random people in this. This is what's beautiful about it. Having this group sectioned off and private from all the tire kickers is really nice, because you don't want to deal with tire kickers. They waste your time. So if you had a property for sale, you post it up there. And if people are like, hey, I want to buy this, them saying I want to buy it versus some random person saying I want to buy it is two totally different things. Two totally different things. And so deals happen. Also, we have title companies, attorneys, CPAs, architects, tradesmen, lenders. What else? Lead abatement people, property manager, all everything, you name it, right? We got all these different people in the group. And when you need something, you post on there, hey, is there somebody who can help me with this? And our group is growing more and more and more. It's actually becoming nationwide slowly, right? So we're getting people in Texas, in Florida, in Ohio, in California, and so on. So it's growing. Right now, the majority of our people are Philadelphia, or PA, I should say, and New Jersey. All of New Jersey, north, south, whatever, and Philadelphia, and other parts of Pennsylvania, like suburbs of Philadelphia. So that's our group. That's what it's made up of. So now, let me show you the curriculum real quick. So this is the curriculum. Today's August 4th. So the group is going on right now. They're covering the real estate foundation class. Next week, they're going to do it again. The week after that, creative acquisitions. And then at the end of the month, every single month, we have a guest speaker, and it's to be determined, but we bring in a guest speaker to share their knowledge with the group. So it's fantastic how we have this set up. It's very structured so that you learn, like you really, really learn. How you get involved. You can either choose package A, B, C, or D. A is the essential classes. And so as a reminder, these are the essential classes. These 11 classes, these are the profits classes, the business ones. And then here are the extreme classes, okay? So A is the essentials, B is the profits, C is the extreme, and D is all of them. So you get to pick and choose which package you want. A, the essentials, is $399 down. And then for 18 months, you pay $116. The total would be $24.97. Now, if you choose to pay in full, it's $19.97. So that means you get to save $500. What you get all the classes, you get the weekly group coaching, and you get lifetime access to the material. So as the materials change, you get updates. So lifetime access is really cool. Like I said, I joined in 2016. It's now 2020. I'm still a part of it. Cool part too, the price is for two people. So you get to split it. Now, you may not have a friend yet that wants to split it with you, and that's okay. You can always find that person later and then split and collect whatever you want to collect. So you get to choose either finance or pay in full. The next one is the profits. It's similar structure. $599 down, 18 months, $174 a month, $37.49 total. Discounted price, $29.97. That is a $750 discount. Again, you get all the classes, you get the weekly group coaching, you get lifetime access, and again, price for two people. Now, when you get into the bigger program, the extreme, you get a ton of classes, but you also get one-on-one coaching. Okay, you get 6 one-on-one coaching sessions with one of the instructors. That is huge, right? That is huge because it'll really focus or hone your skills when you're trying to figure out real estate, right? So the 6 one-on-one coaching, still lifetime access, price for 2 people. Or you can do what I did and you can get everything, right? EPX combo, which stands for Essentials Profits Extreme, right? So we call it the Epics combo. That's everything, $45.98 down, 36 months, $670 a month. Comes out to $28,741 over time, or you can pay in full, $22,991. You get the 6 one-on-one coaches, you get 65 plus classes, lifetime access, price for 2 people. So yeah, that's all of the classes. That's the one that I got. Feel free to pick and choose wherever you can get in, get in where you fit in, right? You may not be here or you may not be here, but just pick something, because what you want to do is you want to get involved with the weekly Zoom calls. You want to have access to the Facebook group. You want to know this information, because this information, once you know it, you get to apply it. You apply the information to your life changes. You apply nothing to your life, nothing changes. But I think you guys already knew that. So who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with, big, big, big deal. Yesterday, Dennis, like I was telling you guys, Dennis and I did this big giant jump. At first, he didn't want to do it because he had already did it, and it's a scary, scary, scary jump. And then we all did it. And then he did it, and he was great at it. So just by being around the right people causes you to do the right things. You do the right things, your life changes. We are all capable of doing amazing, amazing things. It's just, who are we surrounded by? All right. What questions do you guys have? We went over a lot of stuff. I went over the program. I went over strategies. I learned, this class was for you guys. I just wanted to introduce you guys to what your next steps could be. If this was our final destination, if you guys had like, Hone, great, thank you for everything. I'm not interested in the program. That's okay. But for some of you guys, I know you're like, all right, this was good. I need more of this, and I want to be a part of this for life. So then you're like, okay, I want to be a part of it. So how you become a part of it, you reach out to the person who invited you and say, Hone, what's my next steps? And then we work on that. But Mary, did you have a question?
John has a question.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
Good.
Okay.
Was that the question?
Not quite. The question asks, does that work on commercial property as well?
All of this works on commercial properties. Yes. All of this can work. It's just, the question is, will you work?
Oh, most definitely.
No, it does work. These strategies are not specific to anything, but you do need to know the nuances of every strategy. Every strategy has a little bit of a little flavor, a little this, a little that, a different feel. You got to know how to apply it, right? And that's mastery. That's the mastery of it all. Everything has a little something. Yeah.
I got you.
Yep. So any other questions? Come on, guys. You can't have, that can't be it. You don't know everything yet. Come on. I know you guys have questions. What do you got, Dennis?
I just wanted to say thanks, Hone. I'm definitely, I'm going to take a little bit of time to just process some of the information, but we'll be in touch for sure.
Absolutely. Cool.
But I got to get running, and I don't know how many people are still hanging in the chat here. I see Mary, Bernard, right?
Yep.
Thanks for your guys' input as well. And like I said, if either of, just keep in contact with me, and thanks for the invite, Hone.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to give it a little bit of time,
Sure.
look over a little bit of it, and I took some notes down. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you doing this introductory, and there's definitely a lot of good content in there. I don't know anything, so that's why you got to start from somewhere. So
Yep.
Unfortunately, I got to get running, but just like I said, feel free to message me. I'm going to be thinking about a lot of that. So
Not a problem. Let it sink in. All right, Dennis.
Hey,
Have a great
Uh,
night.
See ya.
Have a great night.
Hone, we like to talk to you one-on-one if possible.
Okay. Okay. Write down my email address, Mary.
Okay. Go ahead.
It is hone at, and that's HOAN, hone at honesloans.com.
Hones Loans. Is that both with S's at the end of Hones and Loans?
Yes. Yep.
Hones
Loans.
Loans.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
At
cool.
what? Honesloans.com.
.com. Hone. Yep. Hone at honesloans.com.
Okay. I will shoot you an email.
All right, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you for all the information, Home. We really enjoyed the program.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, again, with that, if anybody's interested in becoming a part of the group, just talk to the person who invited you. Say, hey, what's my next steps? And then we'll go from there. And if anybody has any questions for me, hit me up at honesloans.com. Love to chat with you. All right.
Thank
Everybody
you.
good? Everybody good?
Yes.
All right. No problem, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Hone.
Bernard, not a problem, man. You got to get out of that truck.
I'm about to unload now.
All right. All right, man. Have a
All
great
right,
day.
man. Appreciate it.
See ya.